Welcome back to the Teradek stage on the Vitec booth here at IBC 2014. Hopefully I won't have to say that mouthful for too many more times this week, but still. I'm joined by G-Tech's Mark, and you've got some new products, right?
Yes. Well, this is something we announced at NAB. I didn't lug the big brother over.
Okay. Why not?
Why not? It's not that far. It's only like, a 20-minute walk.
Exactly. Only a 20-minute walk carrying something this tall. Because it has 8 drives in it, and well, also we only have one on the booth right now. It's not shipping till November, but when it does, well, it already is very exciting.
So what is it for people? It is
yes.
what? Okay.
So what it is?
It doesn't make coffee.
Doesn't make coffee.
Yeah.
Do you want me to use it?
It has, yes. So I can...
Whoa, let's see that.
Go back. I didn't get the opening. We need to do this. And action.
And everybody, ooh. So this is the 4-bay version of our G-Speed Studio. What we announced here at the show was our G-Speed Studio XL, which is an 8-bay, uses the same enterprise-level RAID controller. Thunderbolt 2. The real exciting part as well...
See those Thunderbolt ports there? Hang on.
Yes, right here.
Right in there. Look at that.
The real exciting part is coupled with HGST, which is our parent company. We've always used Hitachi, then Hitachi became HGST drives, and then they bought us about 5 years ago. Well, that gives us access to all the newest and best stuff. For example, the 8 terabyte drives that HGST announced last Tuesday, 8 terabyte helium drives, as well as 6 terabyte air drives that are incredibly fast.
Wow.
All enterprise class. The 8 terabyte drive will be shipping in November with the 8 terabyte heliums, so a total capacity of 64 terabytes in the 8-bay unit.
What's
about
helium for people who may not know? What's the difference between a helium drive and a normal drive? Is this something to do with getting more capacity?
It is. It's more capacity. Plus, in large multi-drive environments, it actually leads to power savings. It's also quieter because the big source of noise, draw on energy power, and limitation in terms of what you can fit inside of a drive is is air resistance. Because of air resistance, you have the head that's floating above the platter, or above and below, since there's a head on either side, that's reading the data off of it. Well, that drive spinning at 7,200 RPM creates a lot of air movement, which causes that head to move ever so slightly. Well, if you can take away a lot of that air resistance by putting something much less dense inside of the drive, like helium versus normal air that we're used to, you can put everything closer together, and therefore in our helium drives you can actually we have 7 platters and 14 heads. Therefore capacity goes up.
It's a shame they're not actually floating though. That would have made your journey over here a lot easier.
Absolutely.
How so the normal size drives?
What's that?
The actual drives inside are normal when they come
They're
out?
normal. Yeah, these are. This one does not have.
Close up here. Whoa,
yeah.
Look at that.
Ooh. This one does not have the helium drives. There are our standard Ultra Stars. The helium drives actually have a full white label on top.
So they're exactly the same size.
Exactly the same size, 3.5-inch normal form factor. The interesting thing is, our 6 terabyte, the unit that'll be populated with our 6 terabyte drives will be the fastest of them. And that's because the 6 terabyte drives, to get to 6 terabytes, we have to increase the aerial density, the amount of data that's actually on the drive. So those will do about 215 megabytes per second each. Tremendously fast.
Wow.
Which
Can
means
you then stripe 2 of these if you wanted to?
You can in software. The hardware RAID controllers are internal. But yeah, you certainly can indeed. And what'll be really interesting to see is what happens when we take the 8 bays, which will virtually saturate Thunderbolt 2. With the 6 terabyte drives, we'll see about 1,350 megabytes per second.
Wow.
Yeah, in RAID 0. And even over 1,100 megabytes per second in RAID 5.
I think you want one of those, Phil.
So
it's heavy. It's great for home. This is it. This is the problem.
No, it's not for the field.
It's great. Yeah. I mean, I'm dealing with a lot of data at the moment on a series I'm shooting, and we have the 8 terabyte Thunderbolts.
Yep.
But weight is an issue on some of these. Literally everything is being accounted for and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean,
what drive did you use in the field?
So we're using the main master drive is the 8 terabytes. Yeah. This isn't the Thunderbolt one. We use the Thunderbolt one.
This is our new.
Let's have a look. Yeah, you get to see.
this actually we announced, it's been shipping for a few months now, but we announced after NAB it's our G-RAID with removable drives.
Ooh.
So it uses the same drive modules as our Studio line, also all enterprise class, but this is for those with the legacy interfaces, as we say, FireWire, USB 3, and eSATA.
Is there a Thunderbolt version of this on the way?
We don't have a Thunderbolt in this ID. We have one that's actually very similar to the Studio line that has the 2 vertical drives. And on that, we will ultimately be getting the 8 terabyte drives in some of the rest of our range.
And, the idea of interchangeability is that you can buy lots of the cartridges with the drives inside, or is it purely for sort of servicing and maintenance? Can you actually buy spare drives and stick them in?
You can actually buy spare cartridges or the spare modules, and the advantage there is if you have an environment where you're using many of our drives, if they're populated all with the same size module, for example, if they're all using the 4 terabyte drives, you're using 8 terabyte G-RAIDs, 16 terabyte G-Speed Studios, and even the 32 terabyte Studio XLs, the same drive module could be a spare for all of them.
It's quite nice.
So that's it creates, and plus it just makes it easier on everyone all around in terms of making everything more universal. Just like all of our, it's a simple thing, but every G-RAID that we've made for the past 4 years, as well as our G-Dock and all our multi-drive products that are 2 drives or essentially similar, all use the same power adapter.
Yeah.
And we all know how often power adapters get lost. And so that way you don't have to scrounge to find the power adapter for this particular product. It's any of the products will work.
And you've got SSD products coming now as well?
We do have part of our Evolution series, which is that workflow-focused product. We have an SSD module that goes into the dock, and the great part about it is the dock itself is Thunderbolt, has 2 Thunderbolt ports so we can daisy chain, and also has 2 slots for drives per dock. So with the dock itself, it ships currently with 1 terabyte 7200 RPM modules, the G-Drive EVs, which will do up to 136 megabytes per second each. But in terms of workflow, in terms of moving data around, it's fantastic because you can make simultaneous copies to multiple locations at the same time, especially using something like Shotput Pro or whatever your favorite duplication software is. But that one in particular allows the simultaneous versus sequential copies to save time. Well, with that same dock, I can use the the EV module. We also have our EV220 module. I didn't happen to bring one with me, but that we also didn't announce at NAB. It's a step in the middle. It's a little taller, but fits in the same dock, and is 2 terabytes. It actually has 2 5400 RPM 1 terabyte drives inside, striped together. So it gives you 220 megabytes per second of performance with that higher capacity. So it's sort of a middle level, and then we also have an SSD that's a 512 gig, 480 megabytes per second in the dock over Thunderbolt, or 400 megabytes per second on its own as a standalone USB 3 drive.
Which is
tremendous.
Amazing, actually. Yeah. Tremendous. But you pay a price premium for that.
You pay a premium. But the great part about the system and about having that SSD as an option is you can create workflows that maximize the resources.
You could buy one SSD and several of the 1TBs or a 220 or 2, and you'll be good. Exactly,
especially when you consider how expensive camera media is, right? Whether you're shooting on Red or shooting on Arri, or with the CFast cards or the Red SSDs, or you name it, the AJ Scion cards, they're all very expensive media. And so having the EV SSD gives you something that you can very quickly make a transfer onto, so you can clear the camera media, get back to shooting, and then while you're shooting, make the copies from the SSD onto.
What are we talking? Oh, what are we talking for these? As he destroys my A7S. That hurts. Yes. What are we talking for these drives?
Well, which one do you want to start with?
The biggest one, the one that's not here, the XL. What is that?
The XL. So the XL it starts around just around $3,600 US. Goes up to $7,000 for the 64 terabyte.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's big.
It's big. But it also is. It's big in both counts, right?
Yeah.
What we have another one of the guys that we work with, Vincent Laforet.
Who's he? Have you heard of him?
Have you heard of him, Vincent Laforet?
Sounds French to me.
Yes.
Have you heard of this guy? No.
He's a photographer, isn't he?
Is he French?
A French photographer.
French photographer. Yeah. Sorry.
You must know.
Carry on.
Yes. But anyway, Vincent was able to take all of his. He had fiber channels, basically a fiber channel rack system that he stored everything on. And what this enabled him to do is to take everything he had stored on these fiber channel boxes that he had acquired over years and put together on one box that's this big, that you essentially, it may be a little too heavy to carry out on extensive things in the field, but gives him something that he can essentially now keep copies of everything he has
forever
on
one drive,
and one copy in LA, one copy in New York. He just has two of the
Okay, we've got to wrap it up there, guys. Thanks for bringing that on to show. It's very exciting. I get to start saving somehow for that. Phil, thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
Always a pleasure. And you'll see Matt and me a bit later. So, for now, that's the end of this morning, lunchtime, afternoon, I thought it was, show. Thank you very much.